Okay, so you know how I've shared with you when I'm with others and I'm fully present, it feels amazing. And I do find it challenging to find other people who are able to remain present with me. And so I don't know how to explain this. It's like, it ends up being like therapy then, or this or that. And instead of like, it's the idea of just living in the moment and being happy. And I was just listening to a reader, and the way she was talking about it made me think of that. She was talking about this is also why I love to listen to some of the good readers, because some of them call themselves spiritual teachers, or they'll call themselves different things, which I agree that they are that. They're explaining things in their language to help others who speak that same language. The good ones, there's good and bad and everything. We talk about that. Anyway, what she was saying was, she was talking about, I guess we would call him like a player, somebody who's like sleeping all around. And I forget the words she was using, but how I was interpreting what she was saying was like they were unable to remain present with you because their mind was always elsewhere, split all over the place with all their other sleep-arounds, right? So their mind's always scattered everywhere else. So they're always anxious, or they're always, it's like they're there with you, their body's there with you, but their mind is off elsewhere. And however she was saying it was like, oh my God, that is what it is. It's like I'm with people who aren't able to be present, right? Like it was the way she said it, it just hit me at a different way, a different angle, where it was like, that's true. That is what it is. People aren't doing their own cleanup work. They're not at peace within themselves. They're scattered. They have things to worry about because they're not able to handle what they have, right? Like somebody who, it's like you'll hear readers talk about empires and this and that. People who, it's like, are running their lives, who are in charge of their lives and are consciously choosing their lives, making the decisions from a conscious present state, from a thoughtful state, from a mindful space, are doing the best they can. Meaning there might be things that are not going according to plan, right? According to the way they would like them to go. Yet they've done all they can, right, from pure and good intentions. And so they can be at peace within themselves, knowing they're moving from good, pure intentions and understanding we don't always get what we want in that context, right, if you can hear it in that context. And so they can still be at peace within themselves, right? It's almost the idea of like not having expectations, but moving with pure intentions. And so yes, sometimes we desire this and that, but it's okay. We're not mad or upset about it because we recognize it wasn't in the cards, or we're getting steered a different way, or many of things. And yet, because we're doing our own house cleaning, right, internal cleaning, mind cleaning, alignment, we don't have, it's the idea of loose ends. We don't have things that are splitting off our energy so we can remain present with others. Yet when we're worried about all those loose ends or all those things on our to-do list that we need to do, when we're not doing our internal cleanup, then we can't remain present with others because we're worried about this and that, or we haven't handled this or that. We're procrastinating. But if you're doing that internal work and doing the best you can, right? Because we've talked about all of this in depth, where there are times where you can do your best to clean up the loose ends, or you can do your best to speak your piece, but people can't always hear it, or don't want to hear it, or don't want to give you peace. They know that keeping that door open will cause you to not have peace. So they'll do everything in their power. So you have to take back your power and shut the door, right? So you can do that for yourself. You don't need to allow them to run your show, be your sun, be the center of your dream. No. You must be the center of your dream. And you must have clear clean intentions and recognize you've made wrong steps in the past that brought that into your life. So now you have to take the right steps to remove that from your life. So, we're getting into details here, and there's millions of programs that can help you with this. And I've spoken on it in depth in many of the episodes. So instead of going down all those different rabbit holes, because I hear all these voices giving me all the but. No, you have to do your internal work. You have to do it for yourself. You have to love yourself enough to do that, to get to peace within one's own self. And so you have to figure out how and why you aren't, and how you can be, what you need to do in order to be in alignment with you, to be at peace within. And so they want me to talk about this more, apparently. It's in other words, I think what they're trying to get at is people want to play the victim, where it's but I have all of these people tugging on me, or all of these, they keep saying narcissists, because I think that's a common word people use all the time now, still thumping the rope, pulling the strings of their heart, doing all these different things, tugging on their mind. And it's well, you have to cut those rope, cut those cords, stop picking up the rope, stop playing the game. And they have every excuse in the book as to why they cannot stop playing the game. Well, then fine, you will continue to be in that drama until you can control yourself, control your mind, offer yourself peace, love yourself above playing into the drama. Yes, that often means we have to sacrifice things. We have to give things up. But we also have to recognize we chose those things to begin with that put us in a sticky, prickly situation. So it's yes, it's your just desserts. It was you called that in. You needed to see that mirror. You needed to learn that lesson. And until you put that rope down, you haven't fully learned the lesson, and you're still playing into the drama. So it's you still have work to do. So until you do that work, and yes, it can be hard and challenging. And the reason I'm pointing that out is because oftentimes people give up. And they give up on themselves too soon. And so then they can't see it all the way through. And then they lose hope, they lose belief, they settle for what is. And then they keep getting more of what is. And they have the poor attitude. And it continues in that cycle, simply because they don't understand the laws of the universe, and they don't know how to get out of their own way. And we've all been there. I'm no shame or blame. I've been there plenty of times. I've tried to share plenty of them with you to give you examples. And so I think I liked it because it also gave it's further confirmation, but it's another way to say the same thing. I just liked how she said it, right? Because more or less, it's when you feel good with another, when another person is able to be fully, truly present with you, it feels fucking amazing, or at least it does to me. And it was an explanation of one of the reasons why it can be that way. But more or less what she was saying, again, forgive me, but I'm just translating it. So I forget how beautifully she said it. But the way I was translating it was, basically, when you've found another person who has peace within, they're able to be present with you too. And it does feel good, right? And this is all levels. I wasn't referencing romantic, although they're showing that now. But I mean friendships, every relationship you have, when they're able to be fully present with you because they have done their own cleanup work, they have their own house in order, right? They're able to manage their life. It feels good. It feels good to be with somebody else because that's your match. That feels good, whether it's a match in friendship, it's a match in many other things. And, all the relationships is what I'm referencing. And just the opposite is also true. When you have your house cleaned up, when you're able to stay present, when you're able to do all that, and you're constantly engaging with those who don't, it feels exhausting and feels draining. And sometimes you're meant to be the teacher. You're meant to do all those things, yet you have to find the balance, because ultimately you then start calling that in more and more because it's what you're used to, and it can pull your vibration down. And we've spoken on this many different times in many different ways. where you have to be honest and true with yourself too. Are you calling that in because you still have your own cleanup work to do, or because you're meant to be a leader, you're meant to show the example, but you have to show the example by also loving yourself and having the right people in your life who can, it is that flow or that fuel, other people that are truly present and have their life in order too. So it gives you that sense of peace and relaxation. You can be together and sense that peace and relaxation, because it's a way to fuel yourself, and it fuels them too, to be in the company of others who don't have the tug of war going on inside, that are at peace within themselves, that love themselves enough to do their cleanup work, to remove themselves from the drama. I really wish I could remember how she said it, because of course it was like one sentence. But it was the way she said it. And maybe it was the way she said it in her story that I was like, oh my God. It's so true. It's just so true. When you're with another person who is present, it feels like bliss. But we talk about that as a vibrational match. But this is, I think, even a clearer, cleaner way of saying that. Because depending on where you are, right? Like if you're at peace and ease within, and you want the peace and ease with another, then you're going to get that. Well, that's truly the case for you, right? When you've truly done your cleanup work internally. But if you keep getting less than that, it's either you're allowing that, you're choosing that, you're not seeing clearly, you're not learning the lesson, meaning many of things, like you really aren't the match you want. You're not who you want to be, so you can't be with who you want to be with because you're not who you want to be. So you think you're calling in the less than, but you're calling in your match. Or you are being tested. Do you love yourself enough now that you're going to stop settling for what is instant? What you're thrown and given instantly, yet you don't want it, but you keep taking it with the wrong understanding, the wrong lesson. You think it's a mirror, or you think you have to take what's in front of you, or you think this is the only option you have, right? Like, what are you telling yourself? Where are you at in your journey, right? In other words, you can demand, like you'll see very obnoxious men or very obnoxious women saying, oh, I'm not settling for anything less than I'm worth. I'm a queen. And they, they're so wonderful, and they only will, but they're gold diggers, they're obnoxious, they're whores, they're all these things. And it's like, just saying you want a prince, but you're trash, it's not going to be a match. So it's going to be like the other example I gave you. If you get a real duck and you think it's real and you take it, you have to know where your intentions are to decide if it's a trap or it's your gift. And so, just saying what you want, but you're not emulating that same mirror or that same energy, it's going to be a trap, and you're going to fall into it. So you can say all you want, that you're a queen or you're a prince or you're a king or you're whatever, and demand that you have that equal, and you might be presented with the illusion of that equal, and yet when you bite into that apple, it's rotten. And you're like, what the fuck? It looked like the most beautiful apple I've ever seen in all my life. Why is it rotten inside? Because you're rotten inside. There's still a lie, right? There's still shit going on. You have to clean up. You have to take a look at. You have to be honest with yourself about. And until you do that, you're going to keep getting rotten apples because you're rotten. I hope you can hear all that. Sorry, they seem to be... Okay, no, they're being funny about something else. Let's stop that. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.